So in Unit 3, we talk about proportional relationship. So as a proportion is a equation stating that two ratios are equal. So property of equal, so when you have a proportion, so like 1/2, like 3/6, those are equal. 2/3 and 4/6 are equal. 5/2 and 15/3, 15/6 are equal. And when you do that, their cross products are equal. So 3 times 2 is 6, 1 times 6 is 6, 6 equals 6. 3 times 4 is 12, 2 times 6 is 12, so they both equal 12. And then 5 times 6 and 2 times 15 are both 30. So proportions are when two ratios are equivalent and their cross products are always equal. Alright, so there's just a couple examples of proportions. So the steps to solving a proportion is write the complete ratio that's given. Create a proportion. Cross multiply and solve just like you would an equation. Alright, so first example, after 2 hours, the water temperature dropped 6 degrees. Write and solve a proportion to determine the amount of time it will take at this rate for the temperature. So we don't know the amount of time. So that's, remember, when back to this, that's our variable. It will take at this rate for the temperature to drop an additional 15 degrees. So I like to label my proportions because when you label them, you don't really mess them up. So we're going to do hours over temperature. So when I do hours, the first hour I know is this hour. After 2 hours, it dropped 6 degrees. So 2 hours, 6 degrees dropped. That's our first ratio. For the first 2 hours, 6 degrees dropped. For the second ratio, one of those are going to be missing because there's really, the only reason why you have a proportion is because one of those are missing. So I know that the degrees, so the temperature, is 15, so that can easily tell me what my x is and what I don't know, which is right there. So in order to solve this, I cross multiply. I get 6x, 6 times x, equals 2 times 15, which is 30. So now we have a one-step equation. We divide by 6. Divide by 6, we get x equals 5. So it's going to take 5 more hours to drop 15 degrees. Let me see if I can write that better. 15 degrees. On our next proportion, it says that Patricia paid $4 for a dozen donuts at our local donut shop. Determine the cost of 3 donuts. So now we have money over donuts. Donuts are life. So for a dozen donuts, which is 12, we pay $4.24. So that's our first ratio right here. What I don't know is I don't know the cost, so that's my x term. But I do know that it wants to know the cost for 3 donuts. So I cross multiply. And I get 12x equals 1273. Not 73, I'm sorry. 72. So I'm multiplying by 12, so I divide by 12 on this side, divide by 12 on this side. I get x equals $1.60. So it's $1.60 for 6 donuts. And that's how we solve proportions.